Hey guys, Seth and Danny here from Jump Ship. We want to answer the biggest question we always get, and that is how we got here. Right now we live in Hawaii, we have a couple gyms that we operate, and of course we operate the online company, which takes up a whole lot of our time in our life. So we wanted to take a chance to give you guys some background on how we did get here and the process that it took to build what we've built and kind of how we're operating day to day. So
yeah, I feel like this is the question we get the most is like, how and why and when did you get to Hawaii? Like,
it seems like we just kind of appeared, Jump Ship
Yeah.
kind of came out of thin air, and then all of a sudden we're in Hawaii with 2 gyms.
and that's like kind of what happened.
Well, kind of, but there's actually quite a bit of info that went into this whole backstory, a whole lot of work, and people ask, how do we do it? How do we make it look easy when it's just an illusion? It wasn't easy.
And this is probably going to be like a multi-part video. If those of you who know Seth personally, he like doesn't stop talking, so we're going to have to tell him when to stop talking. And we'll probably break this into like a couple parts, and starting kind of like, how and when we decided to kind of get into like fitness as like our full-time kind of like life, I guess. I don't know if you want to start with your story and your background.
Yeah, between the story, I just hope that we kind of explain a little bit about how we built our businesses, because that's another question we get a lot is like, how do I start an online fitness company? It's like, well, you just start, and then we'll kind of explain the steps we took along the way. So, yeah, I mean, where would you like to dive into this whole situation?
Start in your beginning.
All right, so from the beginning, I got into fitness later on. I didn't play sports in high school. I was a personal trainer kind of when I started going to college. I started to get interested in fitness for myself. I had one of those moments that a lot of people have where they kind of look in the mirror and they go, holy shit, how did I turn into this? And so I started going to just a regular Globo gym, got really passionate about it, went and got like personal training certifications, all that stuff. And simultaneously I was going to college for criminal justice. Became a cop instead of pursuing the fitness thing full time, and then while I was at the police academy in 2008, we were lucky enough to be one of the first academies in the country to adopt CrossFit as the training methodology for all cadets. So I got introduced to CrossFit through my police training, and as soon as I found it, I was like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. And basically simultaneously starting my law enforcement career, I wanted to open a gym immediately and did so. And then from there, basically, I took 2 roads. So how did you get started?
Definitely a little different than his story. I played sports my whole life. I played soccer, and then I started playing women's football, like actual football, not lingerie football.
Legit
real football.
There's videos out there.
Yeah, you can go look for yourself.
She doesn't post them.
So I was playing sports, and like I was in college as well at the time, and I needed to find a place to do like our football lifting program, which was like power clean, squat, stuff like that.
What year was this?
Jeez, I don't even remember. What year was that? 2013? Well, I played football my last year of high school, so 2011.
Okay.
So it was a couple years in that. And then so I was just needing a gym to like do my training program, so that's kind of how I stumbled into a CrossFit gym. But if you go back even further, my aunt was actually living in Hawaii at the time, and she had started CrossFit like kind of guessing maybe like 2008 out here. And she wore like the Vibram toe shoes, and she was oh Danny, you should try CrossFit, like you'd love it. And I was like, no, CrossFit's stupid, like don't do butterfly pull-ups, like that's dumb. And then like here we are now. But it's funny that she kind of like started here, at one of the gyms that's still open too, which is kind of neat.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so that was like kind of my intro, was just needing a place to lift, and that's how I got into it.
Yeah, so I guess kind of back to my thing. I was juggling a full-time law enforcement career. I didn't spend much time on the road. I was basically playing clothes, doing like drug cases and stuff really quickly into my career. And so that sort of weird schedule, and I don't want to say freedom, but the weird schedule, not like the typical cop shifts, allowed me some freedom to build my side business. And so what I was doing with some partners at the time, we opened a gym. It expanded a couple times along the way. I was coaching in the mornings at that gym, and while I was coaching there, like my passion early on, after I first found CrossFit, was the CrossFit Games. And this was, again, 2008, so think back to when they were in Aromas playing around in the dirt and, couldn't snatch, couldn't deadlift, couldn't do muscle ups. Like that's how far back it went for me. And I was like, wow, this is super exciting. I want to find people who want to compete at a high level, and I want to work with them. I never had the ambition myself. I've never been the best athlete, but wanted to help others because it was such an exciting sport for me at the time. So I just put myself out there early on. We had like a little garage gym, and I said, hey, if anyone wants to compete and wants help with it, like, I'm volunteering my time, no money, to help. Come see me, I'll write you a custom program. I didn't know what I was doing then, but was willing to figure it out with the athlete. So put in the time and started having some success locally. Again, while my law enforcement career keeps going, I'm still juggling that. We're finding more success in the fitness industry, and people are now reaching out to us because some of our athletes had success at local comps, and it's growing. And then we kind of put it out in a free platform online. Other people find it, and it's growing and growing and growing. And that, yeah, everyone knows kind of where that led me to start my last company. And that's sort of, I hit a crossroad as to whether I was going to stay in law enforcement and keep juggling fitness, or I was going to go fitness full time. And I think in 2015, 7 years into the double life, I left law enforcement behind and pursued fitness all the way.
Yeah, it was pretty close to the time that I did as well. So 2014 is when I opened my first gym. So I was in college, I'd just been coaching at a couple gyms or whatever. I was doing some personal training, and then got into CrossFit, and I was coaching and interning at a couple CrossFit gyms. And then I kind of had this thought that, I was sitting in class in college, and I was like, I refuse to wear work clothes. They're so ugly, they're uncomfortable, I'm not wearing work clothes. So I was like, okay, so I need to do something in the fitness world. So I dropped out of school, and it was the Christmas break before I was done with school, and we were driving through my hometown with my mom, and I was saw this absolutely awesome building that I had never noticed before, in my hometown, small town. How do you not notice this old warehouse car mechanic place, and it just had this I think it was a lease sign or whatever, and it just so happened that there was an owner in the parking lot as we were driving by. So I was turn around. We went in and talked to the guy, and it was the most perfect building ever. But that's when I was Mom, dropping out of school, I'm opening a gym. She's how? And I was 21. I wasn't even 21. I was 20 years old, and she's just oh my gosh, what are you doing? I was gonna have a good job, blah blah blah, whatever. But yeah, just it was crazy that I was I'm dropping out, found the perfect building, and then had to figure it out on my own. No one in my family really owned small business. No one knew the process. I didn't know how to get a lease. I didn't know how to do any of that.
Right.
And I had to kind of figure that out all by myself at 20 years old with no money. So, I don't know. What do you do?
Well, why don't you tell people what you did? Because I think a lot of people would like to step out and take an opportunity like that too, and not go down the traditional 9-to-5 path. So this is kind of an interesting point in your journey. How did you take the steps to actually open a gym and get it going by yourself?
Yeah, it was obviously completely horrifying. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you're dropping out of school, you have student loans, now I need a place to live, and then I got a dog. I needed my dog.
You keep making that mistake.
Yes, I keep getting now up to 3 dogs. But so I had all of this, and it's just now you're at that point where I don't have a choice but to make it work. I gave up on school, I gave up my place I was living in school, I quit my job, and I had to do a build out on the gym too. So it was something I quit my job in June, right after regionals, and then so that I could go on the team to regionals, and then my gym was supposed to have already been open, but we didn't open until August. So I'm just sitting there and waiting.
With no money coming in.
With no money coming in. So I was lucky enough to find a private investment to basically get the gym off the ground, and I think I gave him 20%, which I might be lying about that, but it was, I gave him equity.
Yep,
I gave him equity, and in exchange for the money to open the gym, I don't remember exactly what I started with, but very quickly I realized it did not have enough money. The costs start piling up so fast, and everything that you originally budget for goes out the window immediately.
Even with our experiences now, our newest gym's the same thing. It's better, but the same things come up and surprise you.
This is now, fourth and, currently have my 4th and 5th gym out here. Mm-hmm. So now it's you know and learn the process, and you kind of know what to expect, but starting out, you just need to prepare for the worst, and know that there's going to be delays, and know that if you think you have enough money based on your budget, you don't. You're not even probably close.
Right.
Just the little things. You don't think about tiny things. You don't think about bookshelves and paper and marketing stuff. You might budget your equipment, your insurance, your affiliation, but you're not actually like I certainly did not consider the overall cost of all the little stuff.
That's crazy. The amount of Home Depot trips that add up to
so
thousands
fast.
and thousands of dollars you
Yep.
don't expect to pay for. Yeah, it's crazy. So fast forwarding a little bit, that gym opened and you did really well with the gym.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you left to go compete, right? So you put, you
Yep.
had a manager or someone running your gym as you went. And where'd you go?
So I was, my gym was great. It kind of was like my entire life, and it started to get to a point where like I was like in my hometown, which was like I thought was a great idea at first, but then like I realized I needed to get away. So that's when I was kind of like, okay, how do I be responsible, like business owner, but like I'm 21 or 22 at the time or whatever, and I'm like, how do I get out of this? Like I can't be here forever,
Right.
you know? So like loved my gym, it was doing well, but like had to go. So I was traveling, I had done grid, so I started meeting all these people and stuff, and then wound up with Fort Vancouver in 2016. So I was there for a year.
Went to the games?
Yep, went to the games in 16, came back, did one more year individual out of, I think, the Northeast in 2017. And then I made the decision to sell that gym, which
Right.
was like a super hard decision. It still like bothers me to this day. Like I feel like it's still like my place, but they actually just like moved to a new location, which is bizarre. So now it's like not my gym, and they're like knocking the building down. But
It's crazy.
yeah, so that's kind of like my story.
Well, part of it.
Well, yeah, the first part of it, that's gym number one. And then I think kind of like what started happening from then was like there was multiple people who were interested in buying that gym. And then you start to see like what these businesses can actually be valued at once they're doing well. And as
And without specifics, you did well when you sold your gym.
Yeah.
You created yourself a little nest egg to be able to
Get
put
new
into
gyms.
future business opportunities.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about later on as we took advantage of some of that.
But still, as like someone young and like with no business experience, then have an opportunity to like, you know, sell my first business for a really good profit, and you know all that time, and like, you know, it was a lot, and it's like it was hard too. It's hard to like say goodbye to something, but then you know you have to kind of say, okay, it's time to move on, time to upgrade, almost.
Yeah. And what year did you sell the gym? So if you
I
went
don't remember. 17?
No, it had to be 17 or 18.
18 maybe?
Yeah,
I think it was
something.
18.
Might
I don't know.
close in
So yeah,
18.
4 years. 4
Yeah.
years. So I had it from 2014 to 2018, like
Okay.
almost to the day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So yeah, so I
Where did you get the money and like set up for your gym and everything?
Yeah, so my first gym, it grew gradually over the geez, I don't even know, 10 years I was working on it in Maine. But we started with 3 18-month interest-free credit cards. I think all in my name too. Just like, I have some credit, just like pull out the credit cards. I think we had maybe $7,000, $8,000 total.
What did
with
you
the
do for like
capital.
a lease and stuff? You can't.
So like I had my law enforcement job, so I had money, and my partner at the time had his full-time job, so he had money. So we threw some cash together to like just
Hope for
create
the best.
some business. Yeah, like I think we may have at a certain point both thrown 4 or 5K in to like get things rolling, and then just sort of tried to build on that as we could. And it was a very slow process, counting on the money coming in to put it back out. But and because we had our own jobs, other than that, we were both decent paying for where we were living. We didn't have to worry about paying ourselves. So like we literally took every dollar from the business and just kept it in the business. We just kept rolling. We weren't taking any money by the end. We weren't getting paid. We were making enough to get paid, but we weren't getting paid.
Oh yeah, something else about the way that mine was the only way it was able to work is my gym had an upstairs apartment that was a
Oh, right.
3-bed, 1 bath, and there was like another additional upstairs bathroom. So I didn't have like my rent was paid for by the gym's
rented the
rent.
whole building.
I rented the whole building.
Yeah.
So like my rent, my cable, every single thing
That's an important.
was a business
Yeah, that's an
expense.
important
Like I
thing.
didn't have any expenses.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
So
back to
rolling
yours.
that in is obviously a way to make that happen. Yeah. So ours was floated by our full-time jobs outside. So it was really a hobby thing for us, and it was for years, a hobby thing for years. We didn't really start making any money until we expanded to the online world, and even that took a couple years to actually make the money back for the time we were putting into it. But I stayed with that, again, left my law enforcement career to pursue both the online and physical gym business. We had 2 of them at the time. Did that full time, and then in 2000, I don't know what year, 18,
I
17?
can't remember yours anymore.
18, no, it was 18, 2018. I needed a change. I had been doing the same thing in the same place, kind of like you felt, the hometown thing for 10 years. I had a decade worth of experience there, 2 gyms, a very
and he's 7 years older than me.
Yeah,
so like,
I'm
I did it for 7
I'm
years less
35.
and had to like escape. So
yeah. So I was like 30 something when I left. But yeah, so just needed to leave. The whole story of leaving my last companies for
That's
a different
different
time.
story.
Different story, different time. But at that time, before that, I had gone out to California. You had a gym in California at the time.
Yep.
One of several different things you've been working on. And we knew each other just really as acquaintances through like training. She had worked with people in my company a little bit, but mostly just kind of like knew each other, not on the most friendliest of terms, just kind of knew each other in the community. And then went out there, met up because I actually wanted to do, I was swimming. I was training for like an Ironman thing or something. So you're like, oh, shit, I'll paddleboard, you can swim, I'll show you where it is. Okay, and then basically that's how we linked up and never got unlinked.
Unfortunately.
That trip out to California was just a super random thing.
Yep.
Kind of weird to think that if that trip didn't happen, none of this would be here.
Yeah.
But so from there, like things continued on, and we decided I was going to
Well,
leave.
from there, like I went out there to compete. I moved out to California to compete at one of the gyms, and then like it just didn't work out. And heard through a couple people that there was a gym for sale in Long Beach, and I was just like, no, okay, I'll take it. Like it was cheap. The guy like had a different job or something. I don't even know the whole story, but it was like a CrossFit affiliate, and he was just like, basically like, yeah, you can have it like super cheap. Like I think I paid 20 grand for it. Like I'm not even joking. For a fully like, it wasn't doing great by any means, but it was like fine. The culture there was like not great. It was just different. Like I was kind of like out of my element a little bit.
It felt like the times I visited, it felt like a come and go spot. It wasn't like a people meeting up to work out together sort of thing.
Right.
There were very few pockets of friends. It was just like they show up to work out and they go on their lives. It was like lacking community, I guess you would
totally.
say.
And so it's just like me and Brady just like doing the thing down there. But yeah, so after a little bit of time there, somebody else who had previously wanted to buy that gym before I did kind of reached out, and we came to an agreement that they actually really wanted that gym. So I was able to sell that for a profit again, which was great. And it gave me something to do like when I was in California. And like I will say, I think like people kind of got this thing from me where they were like, oh, you like gym hop and like whatever, and like can't stay committed to one gym. And it's like, no, I'm just like trying to figure out my life. Like, don't force me to stay in my hometown. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I just like never wanted to be glued to somewhere where like the situation wasn't the best that I could make it. So like I certainly wasn't afraid to kind of bounce around a little bit until like I found my spot, which like I'm pretty sure is Hawaii.
It's nice that you figured it out early, because I felt trapped from the moment I took my law enforcement job, that I felt like I had to stay in Maine my whole life. My family's there, my so-called career was there. Once I took that job at 22 years old out of college, there was zero opportunity to ever leave. And I even turned down some better things that could have been coming. I had a bunch of people say, hey, you need to apply federal, like you're moving up fast, you would easily get a federal job, you make a lot more money, better, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I can't leave Maine, like federal will just send me wherever. I can't do that. So close-minded in that when we finally talked, you were really the person to make me think about things through a different point of view. And the second my brain kind of hit that switch, I was like, oh my God, I need to get out of here, and I need to get out of here now. This is like so bad for me to stay here. And
leaving your like home place, like, well, it's not for everybody, but like it's so refreshing to see like what else is out there and like the opportunities that exist in other places. And like, but yeah, like I definitely felt like I got sort of a bad reputation of like being this like gym bouncer, but like at one point, yes, I am bouncing gyms, but at the other point, I'm making like good business decisions, like
and a good amount of money with what you're doing.
Right. So it's not like I did anything like outrageous, you know, in my eyes. Like it always worked well for me with the decisions that I was doing. And then again, like find myself like before even like Seth and I were together, like I had always wanted to live in Hawaii. I've had family who've lived here. I visited here a bunch. Like I was like, this is where like I'm gonna live. And like I had said that to him at one point, and he was like, yeah, when we retire. And I was just like, okay.
I really believed that too.
Yeah, I didn't for 1 second. So that was always my thing. Like my goal was to end up here. I didn't know how or when, and like we'll probably get into that on a different video, but like it is really hard to get out here and to move here. And with dogs.
And
with,
make a living
and
that you can pay your bills. Yeah,
right.
It's a different world.
So we can get into our crazy life later.
So I guess where we'll leave this first part is After we kind of like linked up in California, she decided she was going to sell her gym, like she said, for a profit. I decided that I had to get out, and whether I was going to stay with my company at that time remotely or not, that was going to be my only option. I couldn't stay in Maine anymore. That's where I was done. And so we decided together that we were going to move to Florida. It's kept us on the East Coast where we had family and potential work things going on.
I refuse to ever see snow again.
Yeah, and we both had enough, being from the Northeast, both of us, with the weather. I was not going to get any ice off my windshield.
My like
anymore.
life rules is like no snow and near the ocean. So I'm already like very limited.
Right.
And then he wanted to stay on the East Coast. So we had like Florida was our best bet.
Yeah, so we started just snooping around Florida a little bit, seeing what we could find for gyms for sale or opportunities. We came across one, CrossFit Deerfield Beach, and
this is where this video is going to end.
Yeah.
At CrossFit Deerfield Beach. We
yeah,
will
we'll pick it up on our trip down to Florida to start things anew.
Bye.